Biological Code Podcast, a podcast on Germanische Heilkunde. Welcome to the Biological Code Podcast, a podcast on Germanische Heilkunde, the greatest discovery in human history. Today we're talking about cavities. Andrea is the mother of 4 children. One day, her daughter Claire complained that she felt a sharp pain in her tooth while brushing, but when they looked, nothing was visible. About 5 weeks later, Claire said that it now hurts when she was eating. Andrea looked inside her mouth and saw it clearly. A cavity had formed, at the top right between the 2 small molars or premolars. Andrea had already studied Germanische Heilkunde in detail and knew where to search for the cause of Claire's cavity. Cavities always point to a bite conflict, more precisely, the biological meaning of not being allowed to bite. And of course, there always has to be a biological conflict with its 3 criteria. It is experienced as highly dramatic, it is unexpected, catching one off guard, and it is felt in isolation. A word about bite conflicts. There are 2 types of bite conflicts. On one hand, one is a self-devaluation conflict of not being able to bite because the opponent is too strong. The other one is not being allowed to bite. In the conflict of not being able to bite, the dentin is affected, or the corresponding jawbone, often both. The pain only appears after the conflict is resolved during the healing phase. This type of tissue is controlled from the cerebral medulla. In the bite conflict that causes cavities, the theme is not being allowed to bite. This is controlled from the cerebral cortex, involving a different germ layer and a different type of tissue. The enamel is essentially hardened squamous epithelium following the gullet mucosa pattern, and here the pain occurs during the active phase. Andrea continued to think. In special programs that are controlled from the cerebral cortex, handedness is decisive. Claire is right-handed, which means she must have experienced the bite conflict with a partner, since her right side is her partner side. One thing Andrea knew for sure. As her mother, she herself could not have been part of the conflict. In fact, Andrea immediately knew where the conflict must have arisen, with her younger sister Nettie. The 2 had always been very kind to each other, but then Claire, the older one, started school and suddenly played the "I am big now" card. She no longer wanted to share a room with her younger sister. Nettie was visibly upset about how her big sister had changed. Suddenly, the 2 were no longer kind to each other, but more like cat and mouse. In her frustration, the younger sister often lashed out physically, and of course, Claire fought back. Naturally, the older sister was much stronger. Andrea couldn't let this go on for long. When the little one struck first and the older one tried to defend herself, Andrea stepped in immediately. From that point on, Claire was practically not allowed to bite anymore. Andrea often saw her older daughter baring her teeth in frustration. As with any other biological conflict, the key lies in how the person perceives the moment of the DHS. Whether the bite is literal or figurative makes no difference. The perception itself is decisive. Anyone familiar with Germanische Heilkunde can usually identify the conflict quite quickly and guide it toward resolution. Andrea simply had a conversation with her older daughter. Andrea kept the conversation light and playful, so that Claire was able to laugh a lot. And what happened then? Already the next day, the 2 sisters were playing affectionately together again. From that moment on, Claire had almost no pain anymore. Over time, they could even see the cavity healing. After just a few weeks, it was barely visible at all. The children went back to playing happily, and the house was filled with laughter, sometimes until they collapsed, giggling together. Now, without this knowledge of biology, a mother would take her child to the dentist, who would, of course, drill out the cavity and fill the now larger hole. Afterwards, the child would be told to not eat sweets anymore. But honestly, where in this story did sweets ever play a role? That's why. Learn the basics, the guiding threads of Germanische Heilkunde. They are not difficult, but as you can clearly see here, They are quite different from what we were taught. Life can be so simple, so natural, and so deeply human when you know where to begin. Learn to think biologically. The knowledge of Germanische Heilkunde belongs in every household. If you want to learn more about how to apply the 5 biological laws into your everyday life, you can find more information on our association's website, urkraftleben.at, or join our program on thebiologyproject.org. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Telegram, and Instagram. Thank you for listening. Until next time.